to subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father, I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do. Ladies and gentlemen, another person has died at the hands of ICE on Saturday morning, a few hours ago actually, which would be January 4th, 2026 at about 9:05 a.m. 37-year-old man was shot and killed by federal law enforcement officers in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The shooting happened near Nicollet Avenue and 26th Street South in Minneapolis. It was a densely populated, mixed-use neighborhood. Heavy foot traffic happened in broad daylight. And at the time, the federal immigration agents, ICE, including people from the U.S. Border Patrol and the Department of Homeland Security, were conducting an immigration enforcement operation. And this was not a local police action. It was a federal operation carried out by immigration authorities operating inside of another major American city. And the man who was killed, his name was Alex Jeffrey Pretiti. Okay, and I hope I'm pronouncing the gentleman's name right. And I want to acknowledge his family and friends. May his soul rest in peace. And we acknowledge his passing. This is a picture of the gentleman here in his confrontation with ICE. I'll put the photo up so you know who he is. I think I may have a better photograph of him shortly. I'll try to pull him up. You guys hit the #1 button if you can see the photograph clearly. That's him there. I may have another photograph of him. And this is him. Actually, unfortunately, that's after the shooting. I have another photograph. I believe I can. Let me see if I can pull this up so everybody can see it. Make sure you guys can see this photograph. Make sure you hit the #1 button. Let me know as I bring it up. Okay, that's another one. That's Alex Jeffrey Pretty. I believe that's the way you pronounce his name. This is the gentleman. He's an ICU nurse. And so now he's been shot. Many of you seen the video. I do have the video. I have several different angles, but I'm going to show some limited footage, but not for the purposes of demonstrating this horrible passing, but solely so we can analyze it. Because again, this man was holding a cell phone. Okay. He was a Minneapolis resident. He was an American citizen. And he worked as an intensive care unit nurse. His whole professional life was dedicated to keeping other people alive. And the authorities have confirmed that he was indeed a United States citizen. And he was also a lawful gun owner who possessed a permit to carry right? And he has no serious criminal history aside from a minor traffic infraction. That's it. Not enough even to prevent him from receiving a gun license. Okay, so according to DHS, Mr. and I hope I'm correct pronouncing his name correctly. I'm saying Mr. Preeti. They're saying that he approached the Border Patrol agents while armed with a handgun, okay? And that he resisted attempts to disarm him, right? This is what they're saying. And that the agents then fired what they described as defensive shots. This is what they're saying. This is the official. Mind you, we're only about 7 hours away from the incident, okay? But again, that's the government's version. But when you look at the video footage circulating online, it shows something more complicated. It shows a physical confrontation between Mr. Petit and multiple federal agents in the moments before shots were fired. And what led to that confrontation and how it escalated and whether lethal force was justified at the moment, that remains unanswered, okay? Now, notably, the Minneapolis police chief, Brian O'Hara, he's publicly stated that local law enforcement has received limited information from the federal authorities about what happened. And that's not a small detail that should be overlooked. See, when federal agents kill a civilian, transparency should not be optional, okay? And in the immediate aftermath of the shooting, you have more protests that have erupted in the surrounding community. You have tensions escalating quickly. You got law enforcement deployed. I mean, they're dropping smoke bombs and other chemical agents, including tear gas, trying to disperse the crowds. And the response was forceful, and the city once again found itself at the center of a national conversation about policing, federal authority, and accountability. Politically, the response has been sharply divided. You have Governor Tim Walz and the local city leaders. They've condemned the shooting. They've called for ICE to withdraw from Indianapolis. And on the other side, you have a lot of Republican leaders, including the House Majority Whip Tom Emmer. He's defended law enforcement, and he's criticized the local officials for what they characterize as inflammatory rhetoric. And this shooting doesn't exist in a vacuum. Okay, this is the second high-profile fatal shooting by federal immigration agents in Minneapolis in less than 3 weeks. Because remember, on January 7th, Renée Good was killed by an ICE agent. The case has already triggered widespread protests and serious questions about federal enforcement tactics inside local communities. And let's address the critical issue that's been circulating online, okay? The fact that the federal agents maintain control of the scene and they restricted access to the state investigators, including the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, which was created just for the purpose of dealing with law enforcement shootings. Okay. Now, there are multiple outlets reporting that local and state authorities were initially prevented from processing the scene because federal agents retain control. Now, again, that distinction matters because control of the scene raises serious concerns when shooters are also the ones controlling the evidence. At this point, the investigation involves local police, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, FBI, the Hennepin County Attorney's Office, and officials acknowledge that the investigation is ongoing. Okay. So, today we're left with this reality. Another lawful U.S. citizen, a medical professional, was killed by masked men, federal immigration agents, doing an enforcement operation in a major American city. And the federal government controls much of the information. Okay. Nevertheless, those are the facts. Now, what I want to talk about is Well, I guess it's appropriate to hear what people have to say about it. So I have a few videos because this is already everywhere. You guys hit the #1 button if you can hear the videos clearly. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and let the videos play again. There are some very tough images here. So if you have a weak stomach, it's not something you want to look at, but I will play a few videos and kind of let you folks see. Now, I'm going to stop and start because, again, I don't want to get demonetized, but I do want to educate people. But again, a strong advisement to everybody who has a weak stomach, who doesn't want to see these type of things. But for anybody who wants to, lead, just go ahead and stay tuned. Y'all hit the #1 button. Now, let me describe the scene here. Okay. What you're looking at is the view from the side of the street where the gentleman was. Okay. Where Alex Jeffrey was. All right. Now I'm going to let it play up to a certain point and I'm going to identify him for you. Let me know if you can see clearly. Okay. All right. Now what you're going to see is Alex is going to emerge. That's the vehicle that the ICE agents came out of. And this is Alex's right arm and he's holding a camera. Okay. And that's him right there. All right. Now he's in the street. Just keep your eyes on him. He's got his camera. If the ICE agents are, that looks to me, I don't know, several yards, maybe 20 yards away. And then you have the other ICE agent to the right, which is about 15 yards away. Okay. That's a great distance, right?
Go.
And this is the lady in the pink. That's Alex right there in the street. Okay. With his camera filming. Okay. Keep listening. All right. This is Alex here. All right. He's filming the ICE agents. Look at the distance between Alex Jeffrey Pretty and the ICE agents who are nearest to him. That's at least 2 or 3 car lengths. Let's keep listening.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Now, what you see happening is Alex has his back turned and he's walking back to the sidewalk. Okay, now you see what just happened? That was an ICE agent. I'm gonna slide it back a few ticks here. What you're gonna see is an ICE agent push what is apparently a woman, a double-handed push. Boom, pushed her out the way. Okay, pushed her down into the snow, right? And now you see this same ICE agent has grabbed Mr. Alex's arm. Looks like he has his left arm, and Alex is turning around. Okay, and so this is where we are. Another ICE agent comes up. I see 2 civilians, 3 civilians, and 2 ICE agents there. Now look, they just sprayed. If you see the mist of spray, let me know if you see this. This is the spray coming from the ICE agent. That was pepper spray, I'm assuming. And now they grabbed him and they're separating him from the woman.
People, the fuck is wrong with you?
Now they got him on the ground.
Honestly.
Okay. Now I'm not gonna let the part play where the unaliving happens, but you have one person on the ground. That's one. I see 1 ICE agent standing around, 2, 3. I see 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 ICE agents surrounding this guy. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to turn this down, but you guys should be able to figure out what's going on. All right, they are. Okay, so now it's happening. Okay, I'm going to slide forward a little bit because we're going to just slide forward. And now what you see is his body on the ground. and you see a lot of people screaming in the background, and you know they're saying you shot him, et cetera, et cetera. He's on the ground. Now, you know, that's pretty much the angle that we have, and now you see multiple ICE agents around him. You know, but at the onset of this issue, at the onset of this shooting, it seemed like, you know, he was several yards away from the incident. Now you see folk shocked, surprised, the lady in the pink camera, she stepped away. I have another angle that I will try to play for you guys so that you can kind of see what happened. It happened so quick. Yeah. So there's a little writing in the way of that. Okay. But this is the situation here. Music is playing in the background. All right, I'll stop it frame by frame. You kind of see things happening. They're tussling with him. All right, next thing you know, and as soon as you're going to see all the ICE agents abruptly take a few step backs, and then one ICE agent stands over him. Multiple shots, okay, is going to happen right about there. Hit, you see that? Now I want you to pay close attention to this. Okay, look at this one ICE agent right underneath, closest to the door, right above the windshield. I want you to watch his right hand. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was 3 hits to the head, and it looks like he had an object in his hand. All right, so imagine what Alex is going through now, what he's feeling, you know, surrounded by masked men. And then now this is when the pew pew start happening. Okay. So again, and you see multiple, it looks like multiple ICE agents have drawn their weapons and they're unloading, and he is clearly down. Okay. So now that's kind of like another angle. Here's a general, you know, this is, it's just, let me see if I can, another view of it. This is before it actually started. Okay, this is another motorist was driving by. Apparently they're hunting him, and he's just standing there, and they're apparently having a conversation. I guess they're saying, get out of the street, get out of the street. Okay. So, I don't know if that was the first incident or the second. It was their second incident. I don't know. Hey, this is the second time we told you. You know, but this is where we are. Okay. Now, a lot of people have had a lot to say about it, and you know,
shot another person on 26 and Nicollet in South Minneapolis this morning. After everything we did yesterday, they shot somebody, and it looked like they killed him, but I'm not gonna say that. I'm praying he's not dead, but it looked like they shot him a few times. So I'm on my way to the scene now. I'll update y'all when I get there.
And you know, it's other people have had other things to say. Y'all hit the #1 button, and let's keep moving.
News this evening, NBC News has received a whistleblower memo that shows back in 2025, ICE quietly changed.
Let's see here.
Maine, and ICE.
Okay.
Another person, this time a man, has been shot and killed in broad daylight by ICE agents in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Here's what we know now. A man whose identity is still unknown was in Minneapolis filming ICE.
His name is Alex Jeffrey Pretti, spelled Pretti. Okay.
Agents. He did not seem to be aggressive, and he didn't seem to be agitating them. And then some.
So again, this is what my take is. He didn't seem to be, you know, it didn't seem like their lives were in danger. It looks like he was a safe distance away. It seems like off. I mean, you saw the video for yourself. You have to make your own decision. But we'll let this continue.
Sometime later, we don't know for sure, a group of around 5 to 8 ICE agents then attempted to restrain him, subduing him to the ground. At that point, one of the agents then pulled out his firearm and pistol whipped this man around 2 times in the head. Another.
Did you all see the apparently the ICE agent had pulled a weapon and was hitting Alex in the head with his pistol. He's indicating that it was a pistol. I showed you the video where there was 1, 2, 3 swings. It looked like the officer was holding something in his hand. Again, there hasn't been a complete investigation. We're only going by what we see. All right. It does look like he was hitting him in his head, but let's continue.
Another agent then drew his firearm and fired around 6 to 10 shots at the man, killing him. After the horrific shooting, ICE agents then attempted to order local police to leave the scene, but the police chief said no and ordered his men to stay to preserve the scene. And as of now, ICE has detained multiple eyewitnesses and transferred them to their detention facilities. DHS has responded to the shooting by stating that the man who was shot and killed had a gun. But what does this really mean? Does this mean he had a gun on his person that he wasn't reaching for? Was he a citizen who was legally carrying it in accordance with the law? Or was he reaching for his gun to attempt to shoot and kill the agents? Those questions remain unclear, but what is clear from the bystander footage that has already been released is it doesn't look like he was reaching for a gun. This is a rapidly evolving story, and there will most certainly be more to come. I'll make sure to keep you updated the more we learn.
All right. So let's, and again, Alex Jeffrey was had a permit to carry. So there's nothing illegal about that. He had no criminal record. And, so let's keep listening.
Mayor of Minneapolis give his statement, his press conference after the execution, quite frankly, of another person in Minneapolis by ICE, by the Border Patrol, whoever the fuck it is, DHS. They keep pandering to Trump's humanity, J.D. Vance's humanity, Stephen Miller, Christie. They don't have humanity left. Their only purpose now is to make America as white as possible and to make rich people really fucking rich, making America as white as possible. Oh, and as Christian as possible. They are full on white Christian nationalists. You can call them Nazis or you can call them Klan members. Pick a flavor. That is what they are. We are not going to get out of this by, we just keep, golly gee, we'll just keep talking to them nice. I don't know the answer. And I get it. I know the arguments on both sides of if Tim Walz should get the National Guard to drive ICE out, or if they should order the local police department to drive ICE out. Right now, what you're doing, what the response is nothing. It's getting more people killed, and maybe more people will get killed, but police need to do their job and protect the people of the fucking city. And right now they are not. So to be honest, if police don't band together and support the citizens, full on, at some point, they are worthless beyond repair.
Well, see, the problem is, you can't get local law enforcement to protect you from federal law enforcement action that's authorized. That's not going to work like that. The best thing you could do is begin to file injunctions, etc. That's the way it works. You can't get, the police aren't going to protect you from police. It's not how that works. But let's keep listening.
Forever.
But I do understand people's frustration.
How could we ever, why would I ever respect anyone in the uniform ever if you can't do your actual flat basic duty?
Okay. So here's the thing, and I hate to say I told you so, but Black people have been dealing with this for a long time. You want to understand why Black people have this relationship with law enforcement that we do? Well, think about it. For years, Black Americans have been saying, hey, the police are using excessive force and they are unaliving our people. Philando Castile, you know, the incident he was involved in happened probably not far from where this incident happened. You know, so, you know, Tamir Rice, George Floyd, and, you know, you ask why Black people don't necessarily respect law enforcement, is because the law enforcement, and I'm not speaking on behalf of all Black people, but there's an understood significant portion of Black people who will tell you, yeah, they don't even respect their own law. Okay. So, you know, I'm not here to tell anybody I told you so. And I'm sure Black people, well, most Black people are not going to tell you I told you so, but we did tell you so. And so now you see what's happening. Now you're developing the same mistrust of law enforcement that foundational Black Americans have developed, you know. So, you know, this is what it feels like. Let's keep listening to the gentleman.
Defend your local community.
Now he wants the police, the local police, to defend the local community from federalized police. In other words, the federal police. And that's not going to happen. Okay. They pretty much all get their, you know, they get their checks come from the same machine, respectfully. So that's not going to happen. Okay. Let's listen to what some other folks have to say. You all make sure you hit the number 1 button.
Was just killed by ICE hours ago. They fatally shot him. More details will be coming out soon. It looks like the guy was just simply filming what was going on, I guess. More will come out. I don't know the exact details.
Now, again, folks, if you feel like he did, and I want everybody in the chat room, don't block anybody. Don't block anybody. Let the people speak, okay? Because, you know, at some point, ICE will be knocking at your door, the way things are headed. Now, what did he do to deserve the death penalty? What did he do? Now, what you all have told Black people is that all he had to do was obey the law, right? All Black people in the chat room, type "don't break the law" in the chat room. This is what you all told us. Don't break the law, right? What's another thing you all, if he had just stopped resisting, you know, as you're getting hit in the head, as you're getting pistol whooped, hit in the head with a, you know, 9-pound piece of metal, you know, a 3-pound piece of metal, just comply. Isn't that what you tell us? Isn't that what they tell us? Just comply, stop resisting, don't break the law. Now, to me, this looks like it was totally uncalled for. But, you know, when it happens to Black people, especially, you know, black men, okay, Black women too, but Black, just comply is what we get. Okay. What else do they say? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. This is what you all tell us. Okay. So we'll you know, we'll let you keep listening.
Details. I just know that ICE killed another person today in Minneapolis. And I will warn you, if you go and look and watch the video, it's very disturbing. I mean, seeing anybody get murdered is not easy. And this guy was murdered today by ICE. And when they shot him, the initial shot, and when he was lifeless, he wasn't moving at all, they fired like 5 more rounds into him.
You know, Black people have been watching, you know, other Black people get unalive for decades now, since we've had social media. Now, the truth is, family, I want everybody to understand, more white people get unalived by the police than black people every year. Every year, it's about 900 black people that get unalived by the police. And it's more white people that get unalived than by the police than black people. But very rarely ever do we see it broadcast. Renée Good, I mean, we started off with that young white woman who they said tried to run over the police officers. So we're watching a lot of white people get unalived by law enforcement, okay? This is not supposed to happen, is it? When you hear that the police have unalived a person and you don't know their name, the first assumption was not that it was a white person. Am I telling the truth? Right? I'm telling the truth, right? And that in itself is a privilege. I'll deal with that in a minute. But let's listen to what some more folks have to say about this this unfortunate incident. Y'all hit the number 1 button. Let me know. You can hear clearly.
To seeing that ICE shot and killed another man in Minneapolis for no fucking reason. They fired like 6 to 8 shots into him. And for the police chief to come out and say, protesters, please don't destroy our city. Man, shut the fuck up. This is absolutely insane.
Yeah, definitely, it's definitely insane. I'm going to put Alex Jeffrey's photograph up again so we'll all know who this gentleman is, okay? And the entire incident is unfortunate. And whatever you think, and I can tell you that black people, we've had to deal with it. This is the gentleman again, so we know who we're dealing with. This is Alex. Alex was shot and killed today by ICE agents. That's him. Okay? Now, I have a few things to say, and I hope you all will listen to the words that I'm saying. And at the end of this broadcast, or I guess when I finish saying what I have to say, I will invite some people in to discuss it. Okay? Now, again, this is Alex. Okay? The mainstream media was fast and predictable. And before the investigation even commenced, right, the story shifted away from the federal agents did what they did, straight to what the victim, who they supposedly made to be at fault. And that framing was deliberate. They saw law enforcement they said law enforcement had no choice. You know, they repeated that he was armed. And once the word is used, armed, everything else stops mattering. And this is how media justification works today. You do not have to prove intent, do you? We've seen this happen a dozen times in the past 10 years. All they have to do is say he was armed. You don't have to show a plan. You don't have to establish immediate danger to law enforcement. You know, all you have to do is suggest it. And by constantly reminding the public that Alex was armed, allegedly, the media pushes the audience towards one conclusion without ever saying it directly, that he wanted to unalive law enforcement. And that is the accusation hidden underneath the language. Armed becomes dangerous, and dangerous becomes justified, and justified becomes the end of the story. And I refer to this as the Trayvon Martin treatment. Somebody type Trayvon Martin in the chat room. Trayvon didn't shoot anybody. He didn't pull a trigger. He didn't attack anyone. He was defending himself. But the media framed him as threatening. They focused on how he looked, where he walked, the fact that he was wearing a hoodie, and what someone else claimed they felt like or how he made them feel. And once that happened, everything else fell into place. The person who died became the suspect. The person who killed him became the one who needed protection or who needed to protect themselves. And that's the same thing happening here. All that was required was for the media to describe Alex Pretiti as a threat. And once that label is attached, the process begins. Fear becomes an excuse and suspicion becomes evidence. And death becomes tragic but acceptable. And this treatment always works the same way. The victim is put on trial in the headlines instead of a courtroom. And their actions are analyzed and their character is questioned and their rights are minimized. Meanwhile, the people who use deadly force are wrapped in understanding and assumptions of innocence. You see? See, the most dangerous lie in this entire narrative is that law enforcement had no choice. Because when the media repeats that phrase, it's telling the public that every other option was impossible. No talking, no de-escalation, no just leaving them alone, and definitely no backing away or restraint. No slowing the situation down, no time, just bullets. And that claim is almost never challenged. No one asked why federal immigrants were there in the first place. No one asked why the situation escalated so fast. You saw it for yourself. No one asked why multiple armed, masked agents could not control one man. The questions disappear once the word armed is repeated often enough. And here's the part that should scare everyone. In America, once you're described as armed, you're assumed to be violent. And once you're assumed to be violent, your death is treated as justified. Alex Jeffrey Pretiti legally owned a firearm. He had a permit to carry. That was his right. That was lawful. Right up until the moment he was killed. And after that, legality no longer mattered. His right was rewritten as a reason. That's the Trayvon Martin treatment. See, your rights exist until the moment the state decides they do not. And once you're dead, those rights are used against you. This kind of story serves one purpose: protecting power from accountability. It trains the public to accept that armed citizens, even lawfully armed citizens, can be killed based on somebody's subjective fear alone. It lowers the standard from real danger to perceived danger. And it teaches people to stop asking questions as soon as the government says we feared for our lives. That's not justice. That's propaganda pretending to be public safety. And the real question the media refused to ask is not whether Alex Pretiti was armed. The real question is whether being armed is now enough to justify getting killed by law enforcement. Because if the answer is yes, then the Second Amendment only applies until law enforcement decides it doesn't. Once again, that line is crossed. Anyone can receive that Trayvon Martin treatment. Now, let's talk about the regular, everyday social media bigot, racist, coward. Okay? Because they wasted no time either. Many of you in the chat room, you're cowards. You don't even know what happened and you're already making excuses. One of the first things they started saying was, well, he's not white. This is when, when y'all thought he was a Latino. Let me show you some stuff from my own personal page. I want you all to see, I don't know how people end up on my personal YouTube page, but let me show you. Let me show you what first thing that popped up. Okay. So instead of showing Alex, and I showed you pictures of Alex, we just have photographs of Alex. They indicated, the media indicated, oh, well, this is the guy he was targeting. Jose Huerta Chuma, I believe, from Ecuador. So they tried to make it seem as though this is the guy being targeted. And so people were like, he's not white. He's from he's from Ecuador. Now let's analyze that. Okay, we're gonna analyze that. And look, look, whatever your opinion is, whatever your opinion may be, you're entitled to it. But hopefully, if I've done my job, you'll be quite uncomfortable with an uninformed opinion when I finish. That's all I'm saying. Now, white people, I want all my white people to come to the front of the room. All my white American people, I know you're watching. Come on in here. Your whiteness disappears at the crime scene. Okay? That's what we see happening. Because the first thing people started saying was, well, he's not white. And they based that on that photo that I put up there. That didn't happen by accident. Now, if you look at the picture of Alex, he looks pretty white to me. Okay? Looks pretty white to me. Well, you know, his last name is not Smith or Jones, it's Petiti. He looks pretty white to me. If I'm walking down the street and I see him, okay, if I see Alex or somebody look like Alex, we know Alex is no longer with us, but if I walk down the street and I see this guy here, I'm gonna show you again, because I need you to see. You tell me, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he doesn't look. We'll take a poll. Again, you got people saying, "Oh, he's not white," and you know it's amazing that we have to deal with this level of delusion and lack of sincerity because people are trying to make excuses. And I'm going to get to the ultimate reason why they're trying to justify this, and I'll skip ahead. He looks white to me. That's Alex Jeffrey Petiti. This is the gentleman who was shot today. He looks white. I'm not thinking Latino. He's tall. His complexion is quite light. His features read white. And I'm sure he's held himself out as white in everyday life. And because that's how the world would have treated him. But the moment he gets killed by the police, the story changes. Now suddenly he's not white anymore. And the reason for that is simple. They need to mitigate the loss. They need to soften the impact. They need to make sure this doesn't scare the crap out of the average white person. You know, like Renée Good, you got white women talking about they're going to leave their husbands now because they don't feel protected. But the most important thing you need to understand is because privilege is this. When someone gets killed by police, you don't expect it to be a white person. The expectation that this doesn't happen to us is in itself privilege. And so the moment a white presenting man is killed by the police, the narrative has to be adjusted. His identity has to be blurred. His whiteness has to be questioned, because if they admit that a white man can be killed like this, then the illusion breaks. Let me point this out to you fellas and ladies. White folk, they don't like you either. I know you think that your whiteness is going to protect you, but the elite, you're getting in the way of their money and their power and their because I say so. You don't count either. And the truth is you never did. The whole point of pitting black people and white people and poor people, all the poor people. This is a poor people conversation. All you poor people, okay? You poor people. The goal is to keep you all fighting each other. That way you're not paying attention to the throne and what's really going on. See, if he's black, then it's much easier to say, oh, well, he must have done something, stop resisting. You know? If he's got a hoodie on, all this uneducated thug, you can't call Alex Jeffrey Petit a thug. He was a surgeon, or not a surgeon. He was a emergency room nurse. He was a college educated man. 37-year-old middle-aged man, not some young hothead. Okay? So when you see someone like this, the illusion breaks. So what do? The people who want to live in that cowardice delusion, they'll quietly move him out of the category that makes people uncomfortable. They suggest, oh, he really wasn't white. They imply he was something else, something safer. That's the same thing they did with Renée Good. Oh, she's a lesbian, or she's awful. What do they call that? A white, affluent white urban female or something like that. Oh, the implication is that because she lived an alternative lifestyle as a lesbian, somehow she's not white enough, or she's not the right kind of white. Does that make you feel better? Does that make you sleep at night? Because if you have to face the fact that your whiteness disappears the moment the police pull the trigger, then whiteness was never protection. It was just an assumption. And assumptions don't stop bullets. Listen, black people understand as a lived reality that if somebody is shot by the police, the first assumption from everyday folks is that the person shot was black or brown. And that expectation is built on decades of experience with how law enforcement operates. White people, on the other hand, never expect that a white person will be shot by the police, even though in this country, more white people are shot by the police than black people every year. Nevertheless, because you all decide to keep your heads inside the ground like ostrich, hiding from reality, that expectation that someone who looks like you won't get killed by law enforcement is pervasive. It is a privilege. Again, when Miss Renée Good was murdered a few weeks back by ICE, an ICE agent in Minneapolis, white people had to come to the reckoning that, oh my God, it could happen to us. And you saw this play out on social media. You saw white women talking about how they're going to divorce their husbands because husbands didn't respond with outrage. In other words, white women are saying, I don't feel safe. And the minute white folk and white men and women don't feel safe, things change. And see, that's why they have to keep you all feeling like, oh, this is not our problem. So now here we are again. A well-liked man is shot and killed by federal agents in the same city already shaken by protests and outrage from other multiple shootings by federal enforcement this month. And what do we see on social media? The first thing people say is, he's not white. And again, that didn't happen by accident, because if this man clearly is presenting white, clearly someone a person on the street would assume is white, then, you know, the white public has to confront something that they don't want to admit, that a white man can be killed and shot down in the street like a dog, just like the rest of us poor suckers. So in order to mitigate the loss, in order to stop this, not scare the hell out of the typical white person, they have to start insisting that he wasn't really white. They start suggesting he was something else, something less comfortable. He was a foreigner, he was an immigrant. You see? Again, that's that. Now the other thing is, when you look at it, it brings about some psychological comfort. Now, what these people are engaging in is defensive racism, the kind that shows up when reality threatens a protected belief system that people scramble to preserve. Right? They use race reassignment as a coping mechanism when they're confronted with the fact that a man who looks white, a man that looks like them, who looks like their son, who looks like their grandson, who looks like their father, right? A man who moves through the world is white, you know, right? He was treated while he was white, while he was alive, he was killed by the police. You see? And that behavior exposes something very important. Again, to them, whiteness is not an identity, it's an insurance policy. And when that policy fails, they retroactively cancel the coverage. You see, they move the victim out of the protected category. So they don't have to confront what just happened. You see, what you see them doing is defending comfort. They're defending a believed privilege. It's a belief that obedience equals safety, and only certain people are subject to lethal force. And that's the truth that they don't want to face. It's just a fear-driven racial gatekeeping. Now, you know, you still have even more white people before the investigation is done, before the man has even been dead for 24 hours, already saying he possessed a gun. Have you guys heard that? Isn't that the first thing they said? He possessed a gun. And somebody said, we aren't rioting. Actually, you are rioting, white people. To all my good racist white people in the chat, they are rioting in Minnesota, and there's no black people, because what are black people doing right now? We're resting. They've been rioting since Renée Good, and they're not rioting now. What do you call confronting the police? What do you call that? Again, some people say he possessed a gun, period. Now, here's the problem with that. When it comes to black people, we understand something most people who are pretending to be neutral don't want to accept, and that is cops are notorious for planting drugs and planting weapons and just making up stories when it comes to justifying their actions. That's why we had to put cameras on them. You know, that's not speculation. At this point, it's a documented pattern that communities, black communities especially, have had to live with for decades. And this is why video evidence and full investigations matter to us. So that being the case, we don't believe he had a gun just because police said he had a gun, especially when there hasn't been a full independent investigation. What's more, even if he did have a gun, possessing a gun in the United States is not illegal. A person can legally own and carry a firearm, and that alone is not a crime. Now, in this particular case, the evidence or what's coming out is saying that he had a gun permit. So what did he do that was illegal? And how did they know? Look, the real logic gap is the rush to judgment. But for the police killing the man and taking his life, and then as he's down on the ground, then they searched him after his death, but they didn't even know he had a gun at the time he was being shot. That discovery of the weapon only happened after he had been killed. Anybody looking at the video circulating online sees the only thing that appeared he had in his hand was his cell phone. That's what the video showed before anything else transpired. And it was after he was approached by multiple federal agents who knocked him down and physically overwhelmed him. The allegation, and after he was gone from this earth, that's when the allegation that the weapon came into the narrative. In the video shared from the scene, you see multiple agents wrestling with him on the sidewalk in that South Minneapolis video before the shots were fired. And reports showed Some outlets indicate that the Department of Homeland Security has said a weapon was recovered after the shooting and the man allegedly resisted attempts to disarm him. But we didn't see that. All we saw was the ICE officer push the one lady over into the snow, and then they proceeded to rough him up and tackle him to the ground. Okay? But again, the investigation's still out. There's been no full investigation. All I'm doing is basing on what I see. But here's the thing. Let me ask you this. In that frantic period, let's say you did have a pistol. Let's say you're a law-abiding citizen. There's no indication that Alex Jeffrey Petiti was anything but a law-abiding citizen. You're surrounded by masked men who just killed somebody in the first part, was it January 7th? They just killed somebody. Okay? You got adrenaline pumping through your body. You're feeling threatened. You got several masked men surrounding you, punching you. You feel physically attacked. You got some masked ICE agent hitting you in the head multiple times with what apparently was a firearm. What do you do in your last moments of life when everything is happening is a blur? Is your first instinct to lay down and die? Or is it to try to protect yourself in whatever way your mind and body can? I mean, look, I'm just saying, black people arresting, that's why we're not out there in the first place. Okay, this is why we're not out there in the first place, because it would have been us. But see, the reality that most people on social media trying to justify this shooting is that's what you refuse to grapple with. What would you do in that situation? Instead of asking why this happened, they jump straight to why he deserved it. That's what you did. You using every attempt you can to justify the actions of this law enforcement officer, and that tells you exactly where your priorities are: defending comfort and authority, not defending truth and justice. Look, man, the reason I'm good at this is because I'm an advocate for black men. I've run through all these arguments before. It just so happens that Alex Jeffrey Petiti is a white man. I think Petiti is an Italian surname. I'm not sure, but nevertheless, he's white. Italians haven't been people of color since like 1908 when they first got here. All right. They've been white since the 50s. So he's white. And here's the coldest part about it, man. There's another group of y'all out there just as loud and just as reckless saying, well, he shouldn't have been out there in the first damn place. It's his fault. He shouldn't have been out there recording them. He should have been home. And I guess to them that sounds reasonable, right? Some of y'all are saying that. Well, he shouldn't have been out there. But let's slow that down and let's be honest about what you're really saying. Do we have the right to assemble in public spaces? Or should I say, do we have the right to exist in the public square? Do we not have the right to observe the police or other state actors while they're performing their duties? What if he was looking at a meter maid? Give somebody a ticket. What if he was filming some politician speaking? Because see, the last time I checked, it's still supposed to be a free country that we live in. I believe that's what the patriots who fought for this country died for. See, what these people are really saying, and this is what you're really saying, when you say he shouldn't have been there, when you're saying he shouldn't have been recording, what you're really saying, what you're really arguing is that the public, that means you all have a duty to look away when you see law enforcement doing what you perceive to be shady stuff. In other words, we have a duty to be cowards when it comes to confronting what is obviously evil. And that if law enforcement is present, civilians are supposed to disappear. We're supposed to stay silent. We're supposed to keep our heads down and mind our business, even when the state is exercising excessive force. And that should scare the hell out of everybody listening. The question should be asking, the question people should be asking themselves is not whether or not he should be there. The question is, how far is this going to go? Because once you accept the idea that being present alone is provocation, once you accept that recording a cop is interference, even if you're, dozen yards away, you've already given up your rights. You don't even need to call yourself an American anymore because you don't have the rights of an American. And since when does videotaping federal law enforcement interfere with them doing their job? It's not like you can see their identity. They got masks on. And since when is a cell phone a threat? I remember Amadou Diallo, I know, 51 times. Okay? But really, when is a cell phone a threat? Were these officers' lives endangered by them being recorded, or the real issue that they just didn't want to be seen? Because when state actors, and when I say state actors, I'm talking about people employed by the government, whether it be federal or state, when they react violently to being observed, that's not about safety. That's about control. That's about secrecy. That's about making sure there's no record of what actually happened. And I would argue that sort of behavior runs straight into the Constitution. The Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, and the 14th Amendment, the protections against unreasonable force, deprivation of life without due process, and unequal treatment under the law. And on top of that, it's a violation of free speech. That's the First Amendment. But see, instead of grappling with that, these people, you choose the easy route. You want to blame the dead man. They say he should have stayed home. That's basically what you're saying. He should have looked away. He should have trusted the same system to end up killing him. Shout out to Sonjak. And that's what your argument boils down to. And let's be honest about why so many people are bending themselves in knots trying to justify what we clearly are watching. And look, a lot of us voted for Trump. I voted for Trump. I voted for Trump, and many of you all voted for Trump. But I can tell you right now, the vast majority of the people who voted for Trump, if you're honest with yourself, you can clearly see what's happening is evil. It's racial targeting. It's evil. I voted for Trump because at this point in my life, I'm voting for low taxes. I don't care who the president is. He could have been a Martian. If he's going to lower my taxes, I'm all right with it. That's where I'm at. I tell people, vote your interest. If you're a school teacher, you're dependent on a union, you should vote Democrat. If you're a small business owner, it's probably in your interest to vote the party that's going to be friendly to business and low taxes. That's what I say. Vote your interests. Nevertheless, racial targeting is still evil. And even though we benefit from what's going on, i.e., people being deported, people being removed from the country who are criminals, who are crowding up our freeways and making it difficult for our children to enjoy the schools that we pay for, snatching them out their houses, separating families. That's still evil, even though we benefit from it. And see, that's the tension people don't want to face. See, people want to be the hero in their own story. They don't want to be the antagonist. They want to believe that they're the good guy. They want to be the protagonist. They want the one standing on the right side of history. And that's exactly why you got so many people inventing these excuses. That's why they say he shouldn't have been out there. That's why they say he should have looked away. That's why they say, he shouldn't have had his camera. That's why you're saying he was a problem. Because admitting the truth would mean admitting something ugly about yourselves. This is what you voted for. Trump said he was going to do it. I knew it was evil then. But my taxes are more important to me. Gosh, that sounds horrible to say. You not having crowded freeways is more important to you. You having less competition for food and gas and living and employment. Yeah. If it means getting rid of these people, okay, you're benefiting, right? Don't run away. Don't you run away from this conversation. You stay right here. We believe that getting rid of all these immigrants, whether they're legal or illegal, is going to make our lives easier. Whether they're legal, whether they're illegal, whether they're criminal, whether they're 5-year-old children, 3-year, we don't give a damn. We just want them gone. And we don't care how. Matter of fact, many of us take pleasure in seeing these people getting beat up and rolled up and thrown in the back of these trucks. You don't care who gets hurt along the way. You're tired of seeing these people pull up in the grocery store with the EBT cards filled up with groceries, knowing they just walked up here from Venezuela. You're tired of it. You're tired of having to fight them for parking spaces. They look too happy. Tell the truth. They play that loud music. Bum, 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 bum. You tired of it. All these damn quinceañeras. You tired of it. You want this inconvenience removed, don't you? Tell the truth. Yeah, buddy. Driving with no insurance. Now, you like the tacos, right? You tired of these Indians, too. Whole bus smell like sweaty curry. You tired of it, taking jobs. Taking these American jobs. You tired of it. You want them gone. And that's the part people don't want to say out loud. But unfortunately, that's being an adult. See, being an adult means you have to actually look at what's going on. It's dealing with things that make you uncomfortable. It's accepting the fact that when bad things happen to other people, sometimes there's a benefit. Real or perceived, sometimes there's a benefit that flows to you. And you have to sit with that. You don't get to wash your hands or just because it makes you feel bad. You don't get to rewrite the story so you're always the damn hero. Sometimes you benefit from something that is wrong. Sometimes your comfort is built on someone else's suffering, and pretending otherwise doesn't make you moral. It just makes you dishonest. I suggest, as I do to my normal viewers, just go ahead and embrace being the bad guy. Somebody type bad guy in the chat room. But that's what's going on. It makes you feel bad. So you try to justify. You did the same thing. You did the same thing with us. You watching a man get suffocated for 9 minutes. George Floyd. He should have complied. He must have done something. He was high on crack. Crack killed him, not that knee on his neck for 9 minutes. He was committing a crime. He allegedly had a $20 counterfeit bill. He deserved it. He must have done something. So you don't have to feel like the bad guy. Grow up. Now, what do you do when none of the lies fit? Huh? When you run out like, damn, what do you do? None of the lies fit. Because see, before this story fully came out, before you even knew who Alex was. This is a college-educated man with a family. He was a nurse. That means he was making money. That means he had responsibility. That means he had a career built on trust and discipline and care for other people. He worked at the VA. He took care of veterans. Golly, you can't really get better than that. He came from an American family. He was an American citizen. He had no criminal record. On top of that, he was a lawful gun owner, which absolutely means they ran a background check on him, a thorough background check. And that's not my opinion. That's the law. That's what has to happen. You don't wake up legally and legally own a firearm in this country without the government checking you out first. So then I have to ask, where did this, he was a paid agitator come from? Where did that story come from? How do y'all know he was a Democrat? How do you know he was a liberal? The man is a gun owner. The man is a pistol packing gun owner. And you saying he's a liberal? Liberals packing, y'all packing heat now? Y'all about that fire now? The man, make that make sense. He's a lawful gun owner. He took the time to register and take the classes to become a lawful concealed carry license owner. On top of that, he apparently had two magazines with him, plus I'm sure one in the gun. So that's 3 altogether. But somehow he's a Democrat, a liberal Democrat. Gosh, interesting. How do you know he was even politically motivated? How do you know he just didn't like these assholes out here beating up folks in his town? I'm just saying. You don't. And that's my point. And this is the same bundle of lies we see every time. The same kitchen sink defense fueled by convenience and cowardice, all mixed together. They throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. Criminal, radical, agitator, liberal, Democrat, paid protester. Anything but what actually was. Just a normal American citizen who ended up dead at the hands of the state. And so before the public even knows who he is, people already train to unload every accusation possible. And none of it fits. None of it matches. And none of it aligns with reality. So then we get to catch all, he was a paid agitator, the Democrats paid him. That's not an argument, that's just a fantasy. It exists because it's both convenient and cowardly. Cowardly. It's convenient and it's cowardly. Everybody in this chat room still making excuses for what law enforcement did today, and you don't even have all the facts. You're cowards. You want to go hide back in your little delusional hole and pretend like it can never be me. And that's convenient and cowardice. It gives people something to grab onto so they don't have to confront what really happened. And the cowardly part, because instead of facing the reality of the state killing, they hide behind labels and politics. It allows you to say, well, maybe he deserved it, without ever having to say it out loud. But here's the truth you keep running from. There's no justification for the state killing somebody. Under the law, deadly force is justified if law enforcement has a reasonable belief that their lives were in immediate danger, not fear and not vibes and not speculation, immediate danger. The man was holding a cell phone from across the street. And the ICE agent pulled up on him, pushed the woman down, and started pushing him down. I'm just saying. To me, that standard is not met. Whatever you think his intentions were, whatever story they want to invent after the fact, there was no immediate threat at that moment. There was dozens of officers out there, masked, armed, in control of the scene. This was not a man overpowering the state. This was the state overpowering a man. And the reason they keep stacking lie on top of lies is because they need something, anything to make this death feel acceptable, but it isn't. And no amount of labels and narratives and political fantasies is going to change that. It's the same playbook, just a different target. See, this is the same treatment black people have received for decades. You vilify the victim. You obscure the facts, you make up facts, you put blame on the victim, then you dig into his past, real or imagined, looking for anything to justify what happened. It's not new. It's the same thing they did with George Floyd in 2020 in the same city of Minneapolis. Everybody in the world watched George Floyd get suffocated to death while a police officer had his knee on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Everybody saw it. And yet they still tried to convince us that he died from a heart attack after smoking crack. They tried to tell you he died of a heart attack because he was a drug addict. Anything but what we clearly saw with our eyes. It's no different than Trayvon Martin, 2012, Sanford, Florida. A young boy walking home from the corner store with a juice in his hand, unarmed, somehow turned into a threat to the community because he had a hoodie on. He wasn't armed. He hadn't committed any crime. He was just walking while black. It's no different than Tamir Rice in 2014 in Cleveland, Ohio, 12-year-old boy in a park with a toy gun. Police roll up, draw down on him, and shoot him down like a doll in seconds. And somehow it's the child's fault for being in the park playing. It's the same script every single time. And let me remind you, my fellow Americans, of something very important. This playbook was perfected on black people. Perfected, refined, tested, repeated. And now you're watching it being played or applied to Renée Good. Isn't that what we saw? At this point, some of y'all just believe she deserved it. At this point, she was gay, she was a dyke, she was a lesbian, she was a Democrat, she was a paid informant, a paid agitator. And you own your way to feeling that same way about Alex Jeffrey Petiti. Gentleman was just shot today. You already developed those opinions. Because see, here's the thing. As long as it was happening to black people, right? Many of y'all just stood by. You co-signed these atrocities. You accepted the flimsy excuses. You repeated the talking points. You told yourself stories so you could sleep at night. But see, here's the thing y'all need to understand, okay? That nobody wants to admit. Whatever happens to black people in America eventually happens to everybody else. And it's been a long time coming, but that's how this thing works. We saw it with the crack epidemic in the 1990s when black communities were written off and criminalized and ignored. Back then, nobody cared. People made excuses. People said it was personal failure. People said it was culture. People said it was deserved. And then the problem got worse. And now let's fast forward. We got white folk dying thousands and thousands every year. Appalachian Mountain. Have you been to the Appalachian? Have you been up there? Some of the proudest people in America just strung out on heroin and fentanyl. Go to some of these old towns in the Midwest. They call it the Rust Belt. Fentanyl is just taking over. Now it's at your front door. And suddenly it's a crisis. Suddenly it's a tragedy that can't be ignored. It goes from being a criminal problem to a health issue. We are bombing boats in the Caribbean. We are kidnapping presidents from other countries to stop this drug epidemic. Is that worthy of compassion? And it's the same thing happening here, the same lies, the same excuses, same victim blaming. Only now it's starting to touch people who were told it never would because they don't like you white folks either. You're poor. All you poor white is you're poor. They don't like you. Don't care about you. You thought it was just gonna happen to the blacks. They don't like you poor white people either. Welcome to America. And this is what black people have been trying to warn you about whole time. Now, that being the case, black people are still on vacation. Shout out to all the black people resting. All the black people, come on back. We're resting. Shout out to Barry Little. We are resting. We are resting. And the funny thing is, you got people literally trying to crying and begging to get us to come talk, come deal with this. You want to borrow our bodies again, and we're saying no. We did our job. At least most black people did. They voted for Kamala Harris. None of this would be happening if you all had done what black people did. None of this would be happening. Hell, we still getting shot. They had a black man that got shot a couple of weeks ago by ICE in California. Nobody's talking about it. Haven't made any national news, barely the local news. Most of you all don't even know about it. Where are all the white people who voted for this guy? Where all the Hispanic? Where the Latinos for Trump? Where you're at? Let me remind you how you voted in 2024, because it explains why different groups are reacting the way they're right now, both politically and emotionally. In 2024, the presidential election, Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris. He won enough to the states to become the president again. And when you look at the racial breakdown of the vote, it looks very familiar. White voters supported Trump, overwhelmingly large margin. They voted 57 to 42%. Black voters, 86 black people, percent of black people voted for Harris. 13% voted for Trump. Latino voters, Trump won 46%, Kamala won 48%. But here's the thing, that's a record high for Republicans. And when you look at white women, the same white women talking about they're going to leave their husbands, you lean towards Trump. Specifically, 53% of white women voted for Trump. And Latino men, something very peculiar. Yes, 46% of Latinos, or 48% of Latinos voted for Trump overall, but 54% of Latino men voted for Trump. That's not an opinion. Those are the exit polls. And these voting patterns aren't new. In the United States, race, culture have always played a big role in how people vote. And see, now you have to connect what's happening today. Black people looked at Trump's policies, his language, his record, and especially when it comes to policing and criminal justice, and they decided as a group that they could not support someone tied to that agenda. Now, of course, there are black people who did vote for Trump because they like, I'm going to go with the Republican. Chaos be damned. I'm good with it. I'll ride it out. Some black folks just voted because we wanted to see y'all go through the stuff that we've had to go through. So that's why he got 21% of the black male vote and 7% of the black female vote. Overall, most black voters strongly rejected Donald Trump. Now, after it was over and the results were done, what did black people say? They said, we tired. Somebody typed, we tired in the chat room. Tired of fighting to try to convince a country that treats us as disposable. And that's not an exaggeration. For decades, black communities have faced mass incarceration. This is nothing new. We know what aggressive policing looks like. Breonna Taylor was killed. George Floyd. And this is only after many others were killed with no accountability. I mean, at some point, black folks said, you know, we just reached a point of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion. And now you fast forward to today. And now you see louder calls asking black people to get back in the fight. Like we the Navy SEALs or something like that. They want us to come out here and show our outrage. Come protest. Come jump in the front, black people. We've seen this before. We've lived through it. We expected this. We are not surprised by how the state uses power. We know this playbook. And for many black Americans feeling, you know, hey, look, we voted, we showed up, and nothing changed. That doesn't mean that we don't care about justice. It just means we're exhausted from watching the same injustice repeat over and over again. Here's what many Americans are only now starting to understand. This is not a new problem. It only feels new to you because you thought police violence and state power would never touch you. See, many of these folk never believed that someone with a good job, a clean record, a normal life could be killed like this until now. This is white people's fight. This is the Latino voters' fight. This is America's fight. Because the same system that and the behaviors that were ignored when they only affected black people are now affecting people who thought they were safe. White women, you thought you were safe. And then Renée Good happened. You Latinos for Trump, oh yeah. You voted for him. At least the white men did. The Muslims supported Donald Trump. Did you not see that he had a whole Muslim ban from 2016 to 2020? Did y'all not remember that? What did you think changed? Hard head make a soft ass. You thought it wouldn't happen to you, and now it's happening. It's coming to your front door. And this is your fight, because when injustice is allowed to happen to black people without challenge, it eventually spreads to everyone. Dr. Martin Luther King said justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, or injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. You didn't listen. So I guess I'll let a few people in to talk. I got a couple more videos I want to share with you all, but you know, I definitely hadn't planned on doing this broadcast. I had something totally different. We were gonna get deep into, you know, American history, and I was gonna relate to European history. Didn't work out like that. Listen to this.
Americans saying ICE isn't our problem.
Nah. Black people are on vacation.
Yes, we are.
White people, you fix this.
Yes, this is all the black people. Type all the black folks that been shot and killed by the police in the past 15 to 20 years. Go ahead and put all their names in there. And I'm gonna read them off just so they can remember. He says, "Not look, keep listening to this. Go ahead."
Black people into free labor is precisely what white supremacy is. I don't know why there's so much gaslighting, but trying to require black people to go and take a burden of something that may haphazardly affect them, but is not a direct attack on them like it has been previously, and telling them that it's their problem and they must activate and they must go out and fight without addressing their own hardships. Because we need to understand that in as much as there are immigrants being detained, there are a lot more Black Americans in the criminal justice system being detained. If you want Black labor, you need to attend to Black issues. Where is the criminal justice bill? Why aren't you talking about your support for reparations? No, you should just go out there and fight because we said fight and this is somehow going to affect you. I'm proud of the Black people who are standing down And to me, it's not just about rest. It's about understand my worth and understand my value. You see now that you can't get nothing done without me. So what are you going to give me? What are you going to do for me?
They just want us to get on out there and keep helping us force our country to adhere to its better angels. And we're not going to do it anymore. It's just not going to happen. Listen to this dude again. Go ahead and hit the #1 button.
Americans saying ICE isn't our problem, you do realize that they're kidnapping Black Americans too.
I want y'all to leave us alone. I want y'all to leave Black Americans alone.
Somebody type "leave us alone" in the chat room. That's the thing.
I want y'all to leave Black women in America alone. We know. We've always known. They did it to us first. They've been doing it to us. And now y'all are just realizing they're doing it to you too. Don't say they're doing it to us too. It's been us too. It was us first. It's always been us. You voted for this. Your family voted for this. And it was all be friends, kumbaya, don't separate people from the party. Y'all mad at Peyton right now for speaking out against creators who are performative as hell. Oh, it's supposed to be Democrat with Democrat, liberal with liberal like they do. He's putting his body on the line. But you want me to put my body on the line? My body has been put on the line enough. Stop asking, can I tell y'all something? Stop asking, can I ask y'all something? Stop asking if I can borrow y'all for a second. We have been borrowed enough in this country. And not giving back in the same condition that y'all borrowed us. It was a girl, got on TikTok crying, they kidnapped my husband. Okay, before I figure out if I feel bad for you or not, who did you vote for? She said, oh, I didn't vote. Click, figure it out. Y'all are going to have to figure this out yourselves. I did my job, y'all didn't do yours. It was your aunties, your uncles, and I don't hear y'all asking poor white people why they didn't vote in their best interest. Y'all always asking us. It's always us. Leave us alone. We did what we had to do. And now I'm going the way of the big homie. Harriet Tubman, I'll see y'all later. Y'all figure this out. Nobody's coming to save y'all. Nobody ever came to save us. Y'all let them introduce crack into our neighborhoods and run rampant in our society for years. And not until your kid got addicted to the Lortabs is it now a problem with the drug companies. And all the other countries need to be quiet too, because y'all don't care. Because if y'all really cared and y'all really wanted to help us and y'all really wanted to know what was going on, y'all would tell y'all government to put sanctions on us. But y'all don't. You want me to go out and do something. I've done enough. What they're trying to do is separate us from the rest of the world and make the rest of the world hate Americans so that once they are offering asylum, people already hate us. They're going to make it too late for us to leave. But I'm going away to big homie. I'm out. Just stop asking me stupid questions and stop being rude to me for something that you and your people did. Figure it out. Make good choices.
No, I mean, she's not wrong. We got a couple of people here in the chat room. If you want to come in, make sure you cam up. I'm gonna let a couple more videos play, and then we're gonna proceed. I want you. Here's another one.
It goes for Cuban Americans, especially those in Florida. If you're not a Cuban American, that's okay. You can stick around, but I want this to reach that group specifically. Cuban Americans supported Donald Trump in a major way. You could argue that he won Florida because of Cuban Americans. And I just wanted to check in and show you all how Donald Trump is thanking you for your loyalty. Donald Trump is deporting Cubans in record numbers. Cubans had long benefited from legal privileges unavailable to immigrants from other countries. President Trump has changed that. For example, Heidi Sanchez took her 17-month-old daughter to a routine check-in last April with Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Tampa. During the appointment, federal authorities told her that she was being detained and that her husband should pick up their daughter, who was still breastfeeding. 2 days later, Miss Sanchez, 44, who worked as a home health aide, was deported, and she is Cuban. And that's due in part to the fact that Donald Trump repatriated more than 1,600 Cubans in 2025, according to the Cuban government. That's about double the number of Cubans who were repatriated in 2024. And in the years that Mr. Trump has been president, he has sent more Cubans back than his 3 predecessors combined. Also recently, Geraldo Lunas Campos, a Cuban man, died in ICE custody, and an autopsy found that he died from asphyxia. And 2 witnesses, 2 other detainees, said that they witnessed guards choking him to death. And now DHS is seeking to deport the 2 men who witnessed that, to get rid of the witness.
Keep in mind, 54% of Hispanic men voted for Trump. I'm just saying, this is what you voted for. Let's keep listening.
To send them out of the country so they can't testify to what they saw happen. So that the men who allegedly killed Geraldo Lunas Campos cannot be held accountable. That is how Donald Trump thanks you for your loyalty. I just want to leave you with this. Donald Trump is the president. Republicans control all three branches of government. The governor of Florida is Republican. The state of Florida is run by Republicans. Is your life better under Republican rule? Is this what you voted for?
Well, my life is better. Okay. My taxes are lower. And again, as I said earlier, we know what's going on is evil. We know separating families is evil. Black people especially know it's evil. But we reap a benefit from it. So let's not run from it. Let's accept the fact of what it is. That's part of being an adult. I'm gonna let a couple more videos play, and I want you all to pay close attention to this video, and you tell me.
News this evening, NBC News has received a whistleblower memo that shows back in 2025, ICE quietly changed internal policy to allow agents to enter homes without a judicial warrant.
Did you all hear that? According to this gentleman, and his statement related to MSNBC or NBC News, ICE has a new directive that allows people's home to be entered without a warrant. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning and somebody's kicking in your front door without a warrant because, you know, they're looking for some illegal immigrant and they got your address. And now you're in a situation where you got armed masked men kicking in your front door. All you white people, come on to the front of the room. Here you go. See what I said earlier? What goes around comes back around and kicks you in the butt. So, you know, ask yourself, what are you going to say? Well, I shouldn't have been there. It's your home. You should have just complied. At 4 o'clock in the morning, you got, I mean, according to what this gentleman says, sounds like a direct violation of the 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendment to me, but I'm just saying, if this is true, what are you going to do? You tough guys out there. You can only hide so long. Let's let the gentleman finish.
Breaking from long-standing policy and creating significant Fourth Amendment concerns.
Yeah, long-standing constitutional rights. That's not policy. That's long-standing, well-established Fourth Amendment and Fifth Amendment rights to illegal search and seizure.
This memo was shared with Senator Blumenthal by whistleblowers within the Department of Homeland Security. It now says that ICE are able to forcibly enter into someone's home with just an administrative warrant. That's very different from a judicial warrant, which is signed by a judge. And tradition.
Now, you see the reason why black people are not in uproar about this is because this is the stuff we've been dealing with. We've been dealing with this for years, whether you're in your house or standing on the corner, you know, whether we're talking about stop and frisk or legal search and seize. That's why we're sitting on the couch. You all need to get a taste of this. Then maybe we can get some change.
Additionally, ICE has required a judicial warrant. A judge needs to find, essentially, that there is sufficient evidence to go and inside of someone's place of abode, a dwelling of sorts. And internally, ICE says that the Constitution does not prohibit agents from entering just on administrative warrants, even though these are not signed by judges. That is significant, and it's almost certainly going to be challenged. Spread the word.
It's going to be challenged, but somebody's going to have to endure it. Okay.
And follow along, stay up to date on all the news that you need to know about. More to come soon.
So, you know, I listen to people on the internet until I actually see it from a more verifiable source. I kind of just, you know, let it ride. Okay. Here's another one I'll share with you guys. Hit the #1 button. You can hear it clearly.
Maine, an ICE agent admits on camera that their current directive is to target legal immigrants. He claims the reason they're targeting these lawfully present people is for efficiency purposes. I wish I was making this up. Take a look.
Like, if she's legal, like she has a work permit. Yeah, but that doesn't make her legal. So anybody who has a pending application, they get a work permit, okay? Or pending court proceedings.
Just lying.
Because of that, so our
please take the time to subscribe to the channel if you hadn't already. I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. I know we have a very serious topic going on here, and I kind of want my tone to reflect that because the man lost his life today, and I know his family is watching. And I want to, if I'm going to talk about this, I want to talk about it in a responsible way and set the tone, and hopefully just deliver facts without opinions, that are too far off what I already know to be true. But make sure you subscribe to the channel. The YouTube algorithm definitely is not my friend. And so I ask you all to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button also. And I'll acknowledge everyone who contributed to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. I haven't asked for any PayPals today or Super Chats, but I just because of the serious nature of this conversation. But thank you all for being considerate. I'm going to go ahead and let Black Samurai in. Welcome to the broadcast, sir. Thank you for being patient. I appreciate your time. Anybody else who wants to come in, you're welcome to come in. What are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts on this?
Can you hear me, Uncle D?
Yes, sir. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, thanks for having me on the show. My thoughts is, where was all this action when we was getting shot by police, and all this situation going on? See, I know this is a political play. They bringing these illegals in to be the new Negroes. They can't do the same thing that they used to do with us past 50, 60, 100 years, underpay us, treat us like cattle on the field. They can't do that to us no more. So they hiring these illegals, hiring for lower pay wages, basically filling them up the class so they could still be on top. But at the end of the day, it's not going to work because you're letting all these illegals in, and Trump is doing his best to stabilize what the Democrats been doing for the past 8 years. Okay, like me, I'm in the middle class. I want to pay less taxes. I did what I had to do in the voting box. So I'm all for legalization of legal immigrants. Illegal immigrants, if you could come back legally, do it. But if you're here illegally, ICE have the jurisdiction to do what their job. They're doing their job. And I know people who work for ICE that one of my friends that was unemployed, for a few years, he got a job with ICE. So he's doing his job. I'm not going to, demonize ICE for doing their job. Now, you do got some bad characters. They'll probably step over the line. But let the legal situation handle that situation out. But don't let the media try to cloud your judgment. Going on and seeing these legal situations on here. I'm sorry, go ahead.
We should just accept the fact that this is a messy process. People are getting hurt. Families are being separated. But this is what we voted for. This is what we asked for. This is what America wanted. It's ugly. Let's stop trying to be the hero. Let's stop trying to sanitize it. Clearly, the gentleman who was shot today, Mr. Alex Jeffrey, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correct, Mr. Petiti. I mean, it was a horrible thing, and the fact that we're watching families get separated and people get beat up, that's clearly bad. That is evil. That is horrible. But we reap the benefit from it, right? Isn't this what we voted for? See, my problem with people, I don't accept the hypocrites. If you know it's bad, let's call it what it is and say it is what it is. It's horrible. Watching kids get separated from their parents. You can shift the blame and say their parents should have brought them up. They shouldn't have brought them up here in the first place. Damn it, that might be right, but it's still evil. Okay, and we just have to be the adults and accept that fact. And hopefully, if we respect the fact that in order to get this back to where we needed to be, we had to do something evil, then in the future, or bad or uncomfortable, then the next time we won't allow it to happen again. See, that's my thing. See, until you begin to accept responsibility for the effed up stuff that you do, and you face the fact that this is bad, it makes me feel bad to do it. I don't want to see this man get shot. A man got shot today because he was so in an uproar at seeing what ICE did. He recognized the evil, inhumane things was going on. Okay, we don't want that to happen again. We don't want to have to cross that bridge again. So let's just make a better immigration policy. Let's just not let that happen again so we don't have to go through these lengths and do these horrible things. That's the more mature route to take. Man, Black Samurai, I appreciate you, man. I'm going to let somebody else in here. Thank you so much. Slim Shady, What's up, man? Welcome to the broadcast. What would you like to add to the conversation?
Thanks for having me up, Uncle D.
Yes, sir.
The new revelations that have come up with this latest killing are really disturbing. I don't like the way that whole thing went down. I don't think most people do like the way that whole thing went down, and people are going to try to make excuses for whether people should be out there or whether they shouldn't be out there. I'm of the belief that Black people, FBA in general, should be resting. But that doesn't mean that we can't have a conscience about the things that are happening in the streets, because we've experienced these things. We've got a long history of those things happening to us. I'm hoping to see some more information that comes out of the investigation, because there's just a lot of information that's coming out and it tends to contradict each other every now and then. But to be quite honest with FBA folks, with all this cold weather that's coming that probably won't reach Texas where you at, Uncle D, we should be more concerned about what's going on with Teofimo and Shakur Stevenson tonight. That's where our energy should be. We should not be out here in these streets doing no fighting over no illegal aliens. They need to figure that out with the courts, and if they want to come here the legal way, let them do that. But I'm not going to be out here standing in between federal agents and folks who may have committed some crimes other than crossing the border. I mean, we're talking about murderers, people who've violated women and children that they're after. I'm not going to stand in the middle of that. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to stand in the way of them sending whoever is immigrant home. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to stand in the way of any of that. I'm not doing any of that, because see, at the end of the day, look, man, you've been here long enough. I'm okay with being the bad guy. Send them all home. Harass their communities. They don't like Black people anyway. I've seen enough anti-Black American rhetoric from the African community alone. I'm talking about the Somalian community, the Nigerian community, the Ghanaian. They call us Akatas, they call us Jarirs. Send them all home. Let them, since they don't seem to understand Black America's perspective, let's go ahead and let them get a few years, a taste of what we've been dealing with for the past 356 years, or 400 years, or 400 actually. Slavery was 254 years, 100 years of Jim Crow, plus what we've been dealing with since the 60s for the past. Let them get a taste of that. Then maybe they'll have a better perspective. Let them experience what it's like to be Black in America. Matter of fact, I'm going to share this video with you here. And because, see, there's a lot of, somebody type "me no Black" in the chat room. I need to see 10 me no Blacks in the chat room before I play this. Me no Black. I want to see some me no Blacks in the chat room. Okay, where all the me no Blacks at? Somebody type "me no Black" in the chat room. Okay, I see it rolling through. Me no Black. See, a lot of the Somalians said "me no Black." Didn't they say that, brother? They said "me no Black." Now I want you to check this out.
They took me. They arrested and detained me for 2 days, and I was put in county jail. ICE came. They came out of their cars. They asked me to see my ID, and while they were asking me to see the ID, that man, he called me the N-word. Oh. They pushed me hard. They used a lot of violence. My body still hurts. I got a concussion. It's really hard for me to speak because of that concussion. And I was screaming. I was crying. I was so scared. I've never been arrested in my life. I don't have a criminal record. I have a clean record. I was literal cuffs put on my legs, cuffs on my hands. And I was actually detained with a Native American woman. And God bless her heart, she went through a lot too. She was also detained by ICE, and she was also a U.S. citizen, and like me, and she had gashes on her face. They shattered her windows. She had blood on her jeans, her corduroy jeans, and she was crying because she was so scared because she was with her dog. She was so scared that her dog got hurt. She was so scared for her life. We were both crying together. We were holding each other tight, and I'll never forget the fear that we both felt in our hearts that day.
Now, here's the thing, brother. We saw that video. Slim, you've been here long enough, and you've watched enough broadcast. I believe everything she said happened. I believe she's telling the truth. But I also, from my experience, recognize that group of people, those Somalians, as Black as they are Africa Black. They are literally from Africa. They are from where African civilization started, and they will swear up and down that they're not Black like us. And now they come to find out they aren't Black. You know what they are according to that police officer? They N-words. They're not even black. They're N-words. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, let them go ahead and get every bit of this. Hopefully they will see. When I see the Lord working with some people, I don't interfere. I let the Lord go ahead and lay hands on them, and then hopefully they'll come out the other side with understanding. What are your thoughts on this?
I think they made a bed that they have to lie in. I mean, we've always, at least since I was growing up in the 90s, tried to reach out to those African nations, so much so that we would dress up in what we thought were their garbs for African American History Month. Like, we welcome
African medallion. Yeah, man.
And we talked about this before. FDA has a culture of roasting each other. So when they got caught up in that, they took it a little bit more personal. But I think they also come with this idea that they have their own history and their own land, and we're lost people. We don't know who we are. So they always try to other themselves away from us. And so we've tried to give them the scoop on what it's like to grow up here in the States, and they didn't take hold to what we were trying to give them. So now they have to, deal with it in real time.
They have to deal with it in real time, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I'm going to make some room for some other people to come in. Man, appreciate you. Look, like I said, deport them all. And I know that might be some cold-blooded stuff to say right now, but these people don't like us. And on top of that, America becomes better when it's just people who have the same culture and the same language. You don't have all this conflict. And see, I know this is some cold-blooded stuff for me to say, but, as a foundational Black American who can trace his lineage back to like 1780, like I got relatives I can trace back to 1780s. My people been here. I'm a Christian. I'm a long-standing citizen that goes back hundreds of years. I speak English. That's my first language. I have a lot more in common with other Americans who have that same background than many of these Black or brown illegal immigrants who come to this country. White Americans, Black Americans have an understanding. Now, that does not necessarily mean we get along all the time. That does not necessarily mean we all like each other, but we have an understanding. And I think, and this is my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, you can call me xenophobic, but I think America was a lot better before 1965 when we had this heart seller immigration bill come in, and all these folks start coming in from these other places and made things more complicated. You had an influx of people from other countries and other cultures that spoke other languages, and it just made things a lot more complicated. We had a lot more progress. Had all these immigrants not come here, then the subsidies and the set-asides that Black Americans had fought for during the Civil Rights Movement would have went to Black people. Of course, we know that white women have been the primary beneficiary of some of these subsidies, DEI and affirmative action. But the bottom line, Black Americans, foundational Black Americans would have been a lot better off had they not allowed all these immigrants to come over here and utilize the resources that we had paid for. You don't have to like what I'm saying. I think I'm entitled to my opinion. I think America was better when we had a cohesive culture. Now, again, there's room for immigration, but golly, I put up a video the other day and I told you all what the Honorable Barbara Jordan said. She was commissioned by Bill Clinton in 1994 to do a study to determine whether or not immigrants are the influx of immigrants in the United States have been helpful. And under Barbara Jordan's expert analysis, she said no. And she said the person it hurts worse is Black men who are uneducated. So, you all are looking out for your own interests. And you don't get mad at me as a Black American for looking out for our interests. And I'll tell you this, but it had the Somalis and these other folk had been 100% down with foundational Black Americans and even the Latinos. And had you been 100% down with us, you could be absolutely certain that Black Americans would be right there on the front line supporting you. But if I asked the average immigrant, Do you support reparations for black people? It's the Farrakhan question. Back when I was young, they would ask the litmus test to people was, how do you feel about Farrakhan? And depending on how that person answered, it would let us know where they're coming from. So the reparations question is the Farrakhan question of 2026. And if you say no reparations, then you're not interested in what we're interested in. Even if black people never get reparations, theoretically, you should be for reparations for black people. It's a litmus test. And so that lets us know where you stand, whether you're Jamaican, Somalian, Trinidadian. It seems like all of these immigrants, black immigrants, who come and benefit from the struggle and the fight and the blood and that we shed as black people, well, damn. If you're against that, you're against us. It is what it is. So you can't expect us to have any sympathy. I will keep the line open if a couple more people want to come in, but I have a couple more videos I want to share. Feel free to come in. I'm not rude. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear the people tell me that Alex Jeffrey Petit deserve what he got. Come on in here and you tell me why you believe that this man, I guess, deserve to be shot, whatever you think. The link is in the chat room. I'd love to hear folk come in and try to explain to me after what happened 9 o'clock, after 9 hours, that they know everything about this matter and why I'm wrong. I want to hear it. I want you to come in here and tell me why I'm wrong for what I'm saying. Okay. Either way, you guys, let's see. Make sure you cam up so we can talk and have a conversation. Let me see. I got another fella in here. Let me see here. Welcome to the broadcast. What would you like to add to the conversation, sir?
Is it me?
Yes, sir. Mr. Andre, welcome to the conversation, sir. What would you like to add?
How you doing, Dennis?
I'm doing great, brother.
Okay, that's good. I was just saying, because like Farrakhan is Jamaican, though, isn't he?
Yes, Farrakhan's mother was a Jamaican woman. He was born in Boston, and his father was a white captain.
Okay, I was just wondering about that one, but I really don't have too much to say. But I just like listening to you. I like the history.
Well, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you hanging in there and listening, man. Thank you so much. Well, if you don't have any questions, I'll let you go. But thank you for your time. All right.
I really can't because I'm at work. I'm sorry.
Yeah, work, man. You better get your ass back to work. That's what you better do. You better get in there and get to work. You need to get off the damn internet listening to me. All right. Anyway, God bless you, brother. Be cool.
I love you, brother.
All right. Appreciate you. Love you too. All right, Broken Blade. What's up, brother? Oh, look, you got that clean cut. You are clean up in here. Welcome back to the broadcast, Broken Blade. What would you like to add to the conversation?
Salute, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir.
Do want to leave with a simple truth that you've repeated multiple times that people seem to be struggling with. Objectively, especially if you call yourself Christian, yes, what's going on with ICE in regards to these illegal immigrants is out and out evil. Families getting torn apart, multiple human rights violations.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, we've warned all of you.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there's records of Frederick Douglass talking about mistreatment at the hands of the police. There's a conversation that's been going on for centuries. And it's been widely regarded as a joke. As you called it, as you brought up, Africans have these slurs for us.
Yeah.
It made the joke, like to this day, there's pages on Twitter that is dedicated solely to George Floyd memes. Time and again, I want these to fall on deaf ears. So, simply put, we can show you better than we can tell you.
Yeah, again, let me re-emphasize. I know it's a lot of black people that voted for Kamala Harris. And I know it's a lot of black people in my chat room that did not want Donald Trump to win. But it's a large percentage of those black people who recognize at this point in 2026 that we benefit from Donald Trump's policies, this aggressive anti-immigration, illegal immigration push to remove these people from this country. The same people that did not vote for Donald Trump recognize that we reap the benefit of what he's doing. Removing illegal immigrants and legal immigrants makes less competition for black people, black Americans. I'm just trying to get everybody in here to recognize that what we see happening is clearly evil. It's clearly not good, and if it's not good, it's evil. It's bad, okay? It just benefits us. And see, that's my thing. We're gonna be adults about this, and I hope people don't misunderstand where I'm going with this broadcast. We're gonna be adults about the situation. Did that come across? Did I make sense? I mean, did you understand where I was coming from with that, or do I need to re-emphasize that? What are your thoughts?
I believe I understood perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Well, brother, what else would you like to add?
And yet another example of white America cutting off their nose to spite their face. Donald Trump made these cuts on EBT and SNAP. Everyone expected black people to be hurt the most.
Mm-hmm.
At least what I've seen online, the most people I've seen complaining about that have all been white women.
Yeah.
This gentleman that was deleted earlier today, and Renée Good, people are freaking out about this, saying lack of justice, with people to push back, black people to push back against as far back as Biden against qualified immunity, and we had no backup on that.
Yeah.
So here we are.
All right, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. The link is still open. I'm gonna let this video play, and then we're gonna proceed forward. You guys hit the #1 button if you can hear it clearly. I'm going to. This is the video I referred to earlier. It's the work that was done by the Honorable Barbara Jordan. She has a movie out called The Inquisitor. It was sponsored by Bill Clinton. Y'all hit the #1 button if you can hear it clearly.
Opened the borders in 1965, but the real betrayal happened in 1994, because that's the year a black woman tried to warn them, and they silenced her. Her name was Barbara Jordan, a civil rights icon and the first Southern black woman elected to the House of Representatives. She wasn't a Republican. She was a Democrat royalty. President Bill Clinton appointed her to lead the U.S. Commission on Immigration Reform. Her job was to look at the data and answer one question: is immigration good for the average American worker? The Democrats expected her to say yes, but Barbara was honest. She looked at the numbers and she saw the truth. She released a report that shocked Washington. She concluded that low-skilled immigration was directly hurting the most vulnerable Americans, specifically black men without college degrees. She said, immigration policy must put the interests of the American worker first. She recommended cutting legal immigration by 1/3 and cracking down on illegal labor to protect black wages. So, what did the Democrats do? Did they listen to this black woman that they appointed? No. Barbara Jordan died in 1996. And the moment she was gone, Bill Clinton buried her report. Instead of cutting immigration, they expanded it. They chose cheap labor over black livelihood.
They chose cheap labor over black livelihood. So before you Democrats get too excited about black people being in an uproar. Remember, we know who you are too. Now, there might be a lot of black people who did not vote for Trump, but they also stayed on the couch because they didn't think Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were worthy of the effort it would take for them to go vote for them. So them not voting Democrat says, and being willing to sit on the couch and let the chips fall where they may, says a lot about how black people feel about the Democratic Party. So don't get too happy, because we understand that folks will never let a good crisis go to waste, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of folks out there, who want to draw on Alex Petiti's death as though it's an existential threat to black people, and we must remove ourselves from the couch and vote Democrat, whoever it will be. I guess Gavin Newsom, he won't be getting my vote. I'll tell you, I'll vote Republican again before that one gets my vote. So you better come up with somebody else, because remember, he's the one that vetoed reparation and crashed the economy of California. Do we really want that guy? Well, I'm gonna say this: you vote your interest, I'll vote my interest. But nevertheless, family, we're gonna continue moving forward. I want to get to the point where we're gonna go ahead and land this plane, and I have a few things I want to say, and I think, and I'm not gonna take the liberty of saying I'm speaking for every black person. I know I am not speaking for every black person. I would never do that. I would never be so arrogant as to believe that all or most black people believe what I'm saying. However, as you can see by the fact that we have nearly 800 people in this chat room, it tells you that a lot of black people are saying, he's got a point. He's not wrong. Okay. So here's the thing. Now there's this growing push, this pressure, to try to pressure black people to mobilize and protest. They want us to get emotionally invested in this fight against ICE, even though this fight is not centered on black survival. At its core, this pressure is a form of exploitation, and it's not accidental. It's certainly not neutral. It's a continuation of this, this system. Okay, this we're better than you. This system of basically prejudice towards black people, because it's treating black labor as something that can be demanded on command without compensation, without reciprocity, and without any real concern for black specific harm. And it's coming from the Democrats, it's coming from the liberals. Hey, this white man got shot, Alex Jeffrey Fertitti, and now a white woman. Yeah, look, the Latino, oh my God, you need to come on out here, Latinos, the Africans who think they call us a bunch of Akachas and Jareers. Y'all need to come out here and do this. You black Americans need to come out here. See, when people talk about trying to guilt black Americans into free labor, they're talking about emotional labor. They're talking about political labor. They're talking about protest labor. They really want you to put yourself on the front lines. You see, black people we've been told that we must show up now. We must. You better show up, right? Come fight, come organize, come sacrifice. Not because, not because others, want our help. See, the expectation follows the same historical pattern. Black people, we know it too well. Extract the labor and ignore the people. And when black people say no, the response is gaslighting, isn't it? Right? We're told that our refusal is selfish. You hear how they're talking to us like we're being selfish? What? We've been doing this for 406 years. What are you talking about? Huh? Do you ignore the fact that black people already lived under constant state surveillance and detention and punishment? They reframe the argument as this affects you too. And they refuse to deal with what always affected, it always affected us. You keep saying we next, we now. We're not next, we're now. And this is where the comparison matters. See, this is not about minimizing immigrant pain or detention. We know it's evil. We see what's happening. Folk getting separated, children getting thrown to the wind. But it is a basic question that needs to be asked. If detention is the moral outrage of the moment, why has the mass detention of Black Americans been treated as background noise for decades? Why has police targeting of Black bodies been treated as something to attune to our fault? Somebody type, just comply. Somebody type, follow the law, obey the law. They got more Black people trapped in the criminal justice system than most other groups want to even acknowledge. Yet there was no urgency there. There was no sweeping legislation there. There was no sustained advocacy there. There was no national reckoning on any of that. And that leads directly to the demand for reciprocity. When Black people ask, where's the criminal justice bill? And why aren't you talking about reparations? We're not changing the subject. We're exposing the imbalance. Solidarity cannot be one-sided. That's why we don't have this Black and brown coalition foolishness going on anymore. That's why Black Americans have said we're delineating even from our own melanated Black people with African origin. See, if foundational Black Americans are expected to fight for others, then others must be prepared to fight for foundational Black American liberation, unity, real and material. Not just slogans, not just hashtags or moral pressure. No. See, when Black people refuse to just go out there and fight, that refusal is not apathy. It is rejection of obedience without negotiation. See, we need to talk first. We need to have a conversation. We gave y'all 65 years to do the right thing and you didn't do it. You've been here since 1965. All you did was co-opt the resources. You co-opted, you've been cosplaying Black Americans. It's time for us to have a negotiation. We need to talk. It is Black people saying, you don't get to tell us what to do without asking what we need. And that dynamic doesn't challenge inequality, it reinforces it. That's why many of us, and I'm not speaking for all the Black people, I would never speak for all the foundational Black American people, but that's why many of us foundational Black American people are proud that we are decided to stand down. We are proud that we collectively are resting. We are on vacation, and some of us are happy for us. And see, this isn't just about a rest. It's about understanding our value. It's about recognizing our leverage. See? When we was online talking to each other and fussing with each other, and they kept saying, sister, know your value, and brother, you need to know your value. You didn't think we just stopped at relationships. Oh, I get it. You didn't think we had the intellectual capacity to determine the value that we brought to this country as a collective. Oh no, we've determined our value. Yes, we have. Praise Moses. And so when Black people say, you see now that you can't get nothing done without me, we're acknowledging a truth that has always been there, and we're refusing to give it away for free. So when the question becomes, what are you going to give us, or what are you going to give me? What are you going to do for me? That's not selfishness. That's a demand. It's a demand for accountability. It's a demand for exchange, and it's a demand for respect. And if Black labor is essential, then Black needs must be central also, not postponed, not minimized, not ignored. In short, folks, Black people are no longer willing to be the default shock troops for justice movements that don't materially improve Black lives. Somebody type tangibles in the chat room. Somebody type tangibles in the chat room. See, our refusal is not weakness. We ain't scared. We not a scary people. If we were scared, we would have fled. You understand? If we were scared, we would have fled. Somebody make that rhyme. See, this is about self-respect. It's about political maturity. And in an instance, at this point, it's about fair exchange, no robbery. Y'all been robbing us, and we tired of it. You know what I'm saying? We tired. And we not going to take it no more. Nothing wrong with that. Now, let me talk to the white people. Shout out to Eddie B. White people, look. Again, I don't speak for all black people. I'm not going to do that. I will not be that arrogant. Okay? I would never do that. I respect my people. We have different views. I would never sit up here and tell you all that, you know, this is how all black people, we didn't have a meeting. Okay? But for the black people that I speak for, I think I can say ICE, we have collectively determined that ICE is not our problem. So when people say we're next, or when they say they kidnapping black Americans, we know that's a lie. We got a whole 14th Amendment that said that's a lie. And we know that. And we've always known that. We are citizens. We are indigenous. We are Solon. We are foundational to this country. More importantly, what you see happening right now, federal agents disappearing people, they did that to us first. They've been doing it to us. Been doing. When I say they've been doing that, well, that's the Ebonic translation for you all. It means that it's been ongoing for a long time. They've been doing that to us. And now you all are just realizing they're doing it to you too. Don't say they're doing it to us too, like this is some new discovery. It's been going on. Matter of fact, it's been us too. It was us first. And it's always us. They doing us right now. We just not on the internet whining about it because it ain't nothing new. So that being the case, and I think I can speak for most black folks, y'all need to leave us alone. Just leave us alone. We want y'all to leave black Americans alone. I want y'all to leave black Americans alone. Stop coming to us like we just woke up yesterday. Stop trying to invoke black women to come out, because see, they get the black women to come out, and then the brothers had to come out because we feel compelled to protect the black women. Leave us all alone. We want to be left alone. We know what country we living in. We've been living in it. Somebody type, we've been here. And here's the part that makes people mad, but it's true. You voted for this. Your family voted for it. And now y'all want, you want to be all friendly and do some kumbaya. These are the consequences of the choices you all make. No. You want us to put our bodies on the line. But then you turn around and want me or want us to, no. Our bodies have been put on the line since the beginning of history. The first man to die in the Revolutionary War was a black man named Crispus Attucks. It was our leaders that died for the civil rights movement, for all these immigrants and white women to have rights. It was us. Black men fought for the right to vote, and then they said, well, we might as well give white women the right to vote. We did that. Stop asking us. Stop asking us if you can borrow our time. You've bought enough. And you haven't been giving it back in the same, and look, and then when you give us back, you don't give us, we don't come back in the same condition. We come back with PTSD. We come back with trauma. No. I see women on the internet now, oh, they kidnapped my husband. Okay. Oh, they separated my wife. They took my wife. Okay. I don't know where my children are. They holding my kids hostage till I come back. That's what they did during slavery. You run away, you get free, and your children are held hostage at the slave plantation. They won't let you buy them back until you come back. Oh, we used to that. Y'all gonna have to figure this out on your own. We did our job. Y'all need to do yours. It's what, look. Why don't y'all go ask these other folk to come? Where are the Samoans at? Why y'all keep asking black folks to come to the front of the line? Go ask the Samoans and the Guatemalans. Go ask them to help you out. Why does it always have to be black people? Go ask the poor white people why they didn't vote their interest and they voted for Trump. Well, look, where the Asians at? Go ask the Japanese and the Vietnamese and the Koreans and the Venezuelans and the Colombians. Go talk to them. Go talk to the Tongan people. I want the Tongan people to come out there and protest against ICE. That's who I want to come. I want the Guatemalan people. Who else do I want? I want the people from Syria and Jordan. I want the Ukrainians. I want all the Ukrainians to go on up to Minnesota, take a bus ride to Minnesota, and y'all go protest. Stop asking black folk, because the Ukrainians and the Venezuelans got all the money last year, billions. Go ask them. Leave us alone. We did what we had to do. We'll see y'all later. Y'all need to figure this out. Nobody's coming to save you either. Nobody ever came to save us. You introduced crack to our neighborhoods. You let it run rampant in our society for years. And it wasn't until your kids got addicted to Lord tabs, and now it's a problem with the drug companies, and everybody wants to have a national conversation. If you really cared, if you really wanted to help, you would have helped us. Yeah. Cold-blooded, huh? Y'all want us to go out and do something. We've done enough. We've done enough. Stop asking these stupid questions. And we can stop being rude and mean to y'all. Telling you no. Somebody type no. All the black people in the chat room type no. No. Y'all made your choice. No. We ain't coming. Stop asking. Leave us alone. Now I'm going to take this opportunity to read these super chats. Shout out to everybody who contributed to the super chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. I hadn't asked for anything tonight. Shout out to Faquan for the super sticker. Shout out to Faquan again. Shout out to Melsina Blanton. Thank you for the $10 super sticker. Faquan, thank you for the super sticker. Sonia C, 9694, Mr. Spurling, FBAs will talk. Not your business. Blacks, Latinos, Asians don't follow officers around for any reason. It doesn't matter. If he's white, he was raised white. Yes, he was. People earlier were talking about this Mr. Alex, Jeffrey Petiti wasn't white. He's clearly a white man. Cut it out. Clearly. Shout out to Fire for Effect. Thank you so much for the $19.99. Alabama. And again, all I said, if you learn something, I should earn something. I know you all learned something. I appreciate that. I know you all have, and I appreciate that. I just got caught up into this conversation. Thank you for the 25 super chats. I appreciate y'all. Let me see if we can Barry Little, thank you for coming home to roost. That's true. That's true. Super sticker Faquan in Sayan 1. They perfected their skills on us for 100 years. They certainly did, but nobody paid attention because it was just happening to those blacks. You see? Thank you, Cultural Superpower. Thank you for the super sticker. Assistant to the HNIC. No, there must be a moratorium on all immigration. All of it is a harm, especially what is in the state without repair. Democrats are attempting to hijack messaging with voted for wrong person. Yeah, I know. Isn't that something? Look, this is what we voted for. I'm just pointing out the fact that what's happening is evil. We can see it's evil. We can see it's evil. But most black people didn't vote for it, and those that did recognize that what's happening is evil. He might be evil, but it works for us. And it's horrible. But at the end of the day, we didn't let it get this bad. Shout out to Reginald Phillips. Thank you so much for the Cash App. I got one Cash App. Shout out to you. Let me see. Eddie, don't worry, black folk here in Minnesota aren't. All right. Okay. Somalis here in Minnesota said they weren't black, and don't worry, we remember that. You rhyming. They want black people to march to make the protest righteous. That's exactly. But we're like, hell no, we're not going to see. Then you need to understand, and look, black folks have been the moral compass of this country. We're the only group of people here who are here not because we volunteered to be here. We are not immigrants. We are imports. Okay, we were here before most of these immigrants were here. We're here before most of these white folks who are here right now. We came before the Italians. It came in the early 20th century. We came before the Irish. We've been here. The country was built before it got here. The country was built by settlers and slaves. The country was not built by immigrants. The people who showed up in the colonies, they were not immigrants. They were settlers. And they settled the land and they built it up with slave labor. And we got this engine going, this economic engine that is taking over the world, and the most powerful country in the world. It's us. And the immigrants showed up after the land was already settled. So you can't say the country was built by immigrants. It's been maintained, it's been built up, it's been enhanced, but it ain't been built by immigrants. It was built by the slave labor and the economy and our ingenuity. Hell, Washington, D.C., most of the buildings that were built up, white men didn't do work. White men, that was beneath a white man doing slavery to do work. We did the work. We did the labor. That's why after slavery ended, we were able to build up so many towns. We were the carpenters, the plumbers, the books, the blacksmiths. We did it all. Our women were the seamsters. We took care of our own kids. When white women had to take care of their own kids, they damn near lost their mind. We did that. You understand? So let's get that straight. But thank you so much, family. Eddie B, he said they called B on that right away. BS. I work with ICE agents and they're not doing that. SHI poop. Most of them are black or Hispanic. She's like, look, man, let me tell you something. I've yet to see a whole bunch of white men and I thought about this angle, but it's too soon. It's too soon. It's just too soon. Would this man have been shot if the ICE agents were white? If they were white men, would they have given him a pass? And look, I know it's wrong. It might be too soon, but the fact of the matter is, it's a bunch of federalized black and brown men. Mostly, I see a lot of Hispanic. You do have white men, but I see a bunch of black and brown men on ICE, and they seem not to be giving anybody a pass. I'm just saying, they are not operating by that, white is right code. I mean, you got a bunch of armed dudes with guns, and who knows where these people came from. The money is right. And so they willing to fight. It's just something to think about. I haven't looked into that. It's too soon. It's too soon. But would it have been different if it was a bunch of white ICE agents instead of a bunch of black? Because it looked to me like it was a bunch of brown dudes beating up Jeffrey, Alex Jeffrey Petiti. I don't know. I can't see. Y'all have to let me know. I want to be wrong on that. I don't want to believe that. Okay. But anyway, shout out to you, Eddie. And let's see, he said, listen to the emotional argument she's making. They want black people to jump into this and make this righteous. But hell no, we can stand down. Okay. Eddie also said, Uncle D, I don't have a problem with people coming here legally, but I don't have a problem. But I do have a problem, and I have always had a problem with people that come here who don't buy in, move themselves into the black neighborhoods and take our route. Yeah, man, at this point, I have a problem with all of them coming in. Not because of me, but because, try to get your son or daughter into college and look at all the competition. Go out there and try to look at the price and it costs for a rental, a property, or should I say renting an apartment. Look at the price that we're paying for that. Look at the cost of food. So much competition for everything. It's hard for an average everyday American to even get a job. When I was a little boy, the teenagers cut grass. You understand? When I was a little boy, that was our summer job, cutting grass. We make enough money in the summer to buy our school clothes. Now, because you have all these illegal immigrants and immigrants who will work for 20, 30 bucks, they get to ride around all day in these trucks cutting grass. And so the teenagers don't have a job. Look who's taking a job at the fast food places. Let's just be honest with each other. When we say stuff like, oh, those are not jobs Americans were taking, show me a job that an illegal immigrant is doing that a 15 or 16-year-old American couldn't do or wouldn't do. So, yeah, and it pushes the price of everything up. So, at this particular point, and I'm going to go with Barbara Jordan and her findings in this report that she put out for Bill Clinton, okay, which says that all legal immigration is bad for black men without high school education. And as a black man, I'm going to look out for my black brothers first. This is not me that said this. This is the report of Barbara Jordan, a Democrat, right? Sponsored by Bill Clinton, a Democrat. This is their report from 1994. So at this point, let's cut immigration by by 2/3, and let's not let anybody in. That's what I'm saying, man. At this point, okay, you can be mad, put a cape on, and be super mad. All right. Nevertheless, thank you so much. Indeed, here in Minnesota, it's primarily older white women and white men, along with paid protesters. You can see here completely. Thank you so much. Eddie also said they damn sure want us emotionally invested. You stated, but everything they do is falling on deaf ears because we've seen the 2020 grid. Yeah, man, we are resting, man. We're not about to get out there for that. These people don't even like us. It'd be different if the Somalis and the Mexicans and the Latinos in general and the Indians have been 100% down with us. How can Indian Americans be mad at being targeted? And you all have a caste system in India that basically refers to dark-skinned Indians as untouchable. How can you expect us dark-skinned black people, the king and queens of black, right? Black Americans, right? How can you expect us to come support you when you being targeted? Look at your politicians. They don't care if they're the FBI director, running for vice president, the president. They don't care if they're the first lady. These white folk are roasting Indians. And you all thought you were special. Oh, well, we make the most money out of any group. All that did was make you a target. Telling these poor white people that you're making more money in their country than they do and you're better than them. You need to shut up. Black Americans have 1.7 million millionaires. We the highest earning black group of Africans, descendant of Africans on the planet. We don't talk about it. We like, yeah, we need our reparations. You see them? You don't know where you at. Don't you understand what minority progress does? It puts a target on your back. Y'all need to be quiet. Anyway, shout out to Dr. B. Thank you so much for the membership. Thank you so much. Shout out to all the members. All my members, make sure you hit the M button so I know you're a member. Eddie B. D, they keep telling us that they didn't have resources for us or the ability to pay reparations, but They got plenty of money for illegals and moving them in the neighborhoods, and you surfing our vote. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Thank you so much. Casement Tangibles, thank you so much. Faquan, Super Sticker, thank you. Also, let me see. Delete Laws, shout out to Delete Laws 1984. ICE taxes are just police taxes perfected in black. Yes, they are. Shout out to my man, Delete Laws. Shout out to Chili. Thank you so much. This man is like a constitutional law scholar. I enjoy listening to his work, man. Thank you so much. He's been a guest of the broadcast. I look forward to hearing his broad. Y'all make sure y'all go check him out. He has a lot of very good. He confronts the police head up, and I appreciate the work that he does. Thank you so much, Jerome Payne. Y'all got another 399 years of suffering till FBA get off the couch. Yeah, y'all got to pay your dues, baby. You gonna have to pay your dues. We ain't about to get off the couch, man. No, we good. We are chilling. Somebody type, we are resting and we on vacation out here. Black people are on vacation. Anyway, look, man, we got 29 super chats. That is amazing. That is amazing. That's the most super chats I've had in a minute. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. We might get one more. It might be 30. But look, man, so let's go ahead and oh yeah, don't forget. For you all who don't know, I am an attorney, and if you've been involved in a car accident, make sure you hit me up at 713-229-0770 before I close this thing out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button. Everybody on the rebroadcast, nothing is for free. I need you to hit the like button right now. If you're watching this on the rebroadcast, you need to hit the like button. If you're watching it right now, understand that you could have subscribed this week and it'll unsubscribe you today. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, none of my business, but I want to reach the $100,000 subscriber goal before the end of the year. And right now I'm probably about 20 or 30 subscribers away from, I think, 9,800. So I might be a few hundred subscribers away from getting to 92,000. So if everybody on the broadcast is subscribed right now, I would make a lot of progress today. So I hope and I appreciate if you learn something. Not only should I earn something, but you should also subscribe to the channel. Please do that now. Take the time to subscribe to the channel right now. It's free. It won't cost you anything. Man, just go ahead and do that now. The subscribers, it helps me get that. I want to get that silver plaque and put it right there on the back wall next to grandma. Okay, so go ahead and do that for me. I certainly would appreciate it. And other thing is hit the like button. Now, again, we got, oh, wow, we got 30. We got 30. There we go. Shout out to Eddie B, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, and Barack Obama. All extol the negatives of illegal immigration. Leave it to Biden to let them in, let them all in, control demolition of the Black experience. Yeah, man, you know, it's just, they were saying one thing, even Barack Obama, they called him the deporter in chief, and whatever happened, you know, it's like, now they just open the floodgates. It's probably because Black people start demanding intangibles, and they said, well, we'll show them. The everyday Muslim, you said white ass always breaks his tool, immigrants. Yeah, they getting broke up right now. They're getting broke up. Shout out to everybody. We got 31 super chats. That is amazing. Look, man, I'm gonna wrap this thing up, but I wanna, it's something, you know, I have a problem with people having a problem with us talking about what we see going on, okay? Because like I said, the name of this broadcast is basically, you know, Black people are still on vacation. And then so you have people who will come in the chat room and say, well, you all said you on vacation. Why are y'all still talking about it? And my answer is simple, because we told you so. That's why we're still talking about it. We told you about, we told you when Rodney King was beaten on camera, 93 blows in 1991 and lost. It was right when they started making video cam. We told you back then. See, and we thought there was going to be change, and then they let them off. Let the cops off. Jury let them off. And that was in liberal, quote unquote, liberal California. We told you when Sandra Bland was found dead in a Texas jail cell in 2015. Y'all said, oh, she must have done something. We told you when Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old child, was shot in the park in Cleveland in 2014. We told you. We told you when Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson. We told you when Eric Gardner said, I can't breathe, and died on a sidewalk in New York, a dirty sidewalk. We told you when Philando Castile was shot during a traffic stop. This man also was lawfully carrying a firearm. We told you when Breonna Taylor was killed in her house. And we definitely told you when George Floyd was suffocated to death under the knee of a cop for 9 minutes in Minneapolis. And before social media, before body cams, before hashtags, the generations that came before us told you. Frederick Douglass was talking about abusive law enforcement way back then. Malcolm X was talking about police brutality in the 50s and 60s. Elijah Muhammad was talking about it in the 30s and 40s. Farrakhan been talking about it all through the 80s and 90s and 2000s, police brutality. The Black collective has always talked about police brutality. And every time we spoke up, you told us the same things. They should have just complied. They must have been committing a crime. They were resisting. Didn't you hear the cops say, stop resisting? Here's my favorite. If he had nothing to hide, he'd still be alive. Y'all got all in our business. Nobody had, you moralized our death. You lectured us about being obedient to rogue cops, and now the shoe is on the other foot, and you don't feel safe. Now your nerves bad. Now you want empathy. Now you want solidarity. And now you don't want us to talk about it. No. We are absolutely going to talk about it. You didn't listen to us before, but you're going to listen now. And if you don't want to listen, that's fine. You're still going to hear it because we're not asking permission. And we certainly not going to whisper it. We are loud people. And on top of that, we're done asking you to do what's right. We're done explaining basic reality like we're in the courtroom trying to prove our humanity to a jury. That's already made their mind up about us. And here's the irony about this whole situation. On one side of your mouth, you're telling us to stop talking about it, stop making everything about race, stop bringing it up. And on the other side of your mouth, now you're saying, Black people, come join us in this fight. Black people, we need you. Black people, Black people, Black people, Black people, come speak up. So which is it? Because what you really mean is stop talking about it in a way that makes us uncomfortable, but still come help us in a way that makes us feel safe, because we don't feel safe now. And that's the truth. And I'm talking to the liberals. I'm talking to you so-called friends and allies. Now look, I support all these white folk out here cutting up and acting a fool and protesting these racial targeting of these Black and brown immigrants. I support you on that. I do. I support you. Hurrah for you. I support you on that. Okay? I do. And there's always been well-meaning white people throughout American history that have put their life on the line and their health on the line and their property on the line, from the Fugitive Slave Act right up to the Civil Rights Movement. We support you. Okay? But see, the problem is you want us silent when we were warning you. But you want us loud when you need our cover. You want us to shut up and be quiet when we're grieving about the loss of one of ours. But you want us in the streets when you scared. You want us to shut up about state violence when it happens to us. But the moment it reaches your neighborhood, now you want coalition. They scared. You best believe white folk are scared when you got white women saying, since Renée Good, they're going to file for divorce from their husbands. They scared. They don't feel protected. And with this man, Alex, Jeffrey Petiti, him getting shot, he's a white man. You absolutely right, they scared. But see, this coalition that you say you want, that's not solidarity, that's exploitation. And let's say the hard part plainly. You all want us to jump out there and fight your fight for you. That's what you want us to do. You want us to take all the risks. You know, if we get our black behinds out there, the police are going to target us first. You want us to absorb the danger. You want to hide behind the big black people. You want us to be the bodies between you and the consequences of decisions that you made and who you voted for and that you've been tolerating when it happened to us. Because deep down, you believe our lives and your safety are more valuable than ours. That's what you believe. Tell the truth. All you white liberals, that's what you believe. Come on, let's be honest. You rather it be us than you. You see? But see, that's why you can't tell black people to just comply when we're the ones done it. That's why you can dismiss our pain as politics and culture and bad choices. That's what you say about the weather. If they wouldn't be twerking out there, if they wouldn't be so loud talking through the movies, the police wouldn't have shot them. That's how they are. But see, now that you don't feel safe because of your bad choices, suddenly it's a national emergency. Suddenly it's time to pay attention. Suddenly you want more outrage from everybody. Remember they tried get us to be mad about Charlie Kirk? Remember that? We supposed to, the last words out of his mouth was gang violence, with no black people in the audience, and he wants to persecute, he want to bring us, I want you to think about that. They want us to be outraged. Think about that. The nerve. Somebody in the chat room typed the nerve. So yes, y'all trying to get us to come outside and fight that racism. You trying to recruit us. You still operating on the same mindset that black people are your tools, that black people are your shock absorbers, that black people are a resource you can pull off the shelf when you need more cover or some street power. And all black women, look, I want you black women to come out and listen to me. Each and every one of you black women, you sit your ass down and keep your feet up. You need to stop letting these white women use you as their avatar. Okay? You black women are the white woman avatar. You have been. They use you for feminism. They use you for abortion. They use you for every damn thing. Sit your ass down. Put your feet up, take a bath, light some incense, wrap your hair, put a mask on, and go to sleep. That's what you need to do. Sit your ass down and rest. Stop being they damn spirit animals. Stop letting these white women use you as their spirit animal. That's what you are. You're their strong black woman. You see, little girl, I want to be a strong black woman when I grow up. Sit your ass, sit down. Have a whole stadium full of seats. Sit down and let these folk deal with what the Lord has for them to deal with, because they hard-headed, and it's the only way they seem to be able to learn. You mad because we refuse to act offended? You act like we being selfish. You act like we don't care. We care. We just care about the truth. And the truth is this: if you only call black people when your comfort is threatened, then you never saw us as human in the first place. You saw us as a function. You saw us as a role. You saw us as a service. You saw us as a shield. You still think we your mammies, the nannies, and field hands, and the people there to drive you around and clean up the toilets for the old white people that can't wipe their ass no more. That's what you think we are. And that says a lot about you. It says you don't really want justice. You want relief. You don't really want equality, you want protection. You don't really want accountability, you want the problem to go away. And the moment the problem stops affecting you, you'll go right back to telling us to stop talking about it. So no, we are absolutely going to continue to talk about it, and we're going to keep talking about it until you understand that Black pain is not a rehearsal for your reality. It is a warning that you all ignored. And now you're going to hear us. And just because we're on vacation doesn't mean we're going to keep our mouths closed. Vacation doesn't mean silence. Have you been on the on the cruise ship lately? You see how loud Black people are on vacation? Huh? Carnival cruise, we loud. We're not going to be silent on vacation with our feet up. We're going to talk. Look at that. Look at them over there. Oh, damn. Yeah. And rest doesn't mean we have amnesia either. We told you before. We told you people. We warned y'all. And you all ignored us. And let me remind you of something uncomfortable. Black people have been the most empathetic people in this country. We have always showed up for everybody. We showed up for the Irish. We showed up for the Italians. Why do you think they got so many Irish people with Black people with Irish last names? Why do you think that is? We show up for the Vietnamese boat people. They showed up in the community. We bought all their little trinkets. We went over there and got our big old feet and bunions, the crust scraped off of them at their shop for years. We've always cried for everybody. We've always marched for everybody. Our leaders have always tried to bring minorities or people of color, colored people. How y'all let them convince y'all to let us call us colored? Who was in charge when they went back to calling us people of color? They just call us colored people again. Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen. Now it's melanated. Stop that. I'm not melanated. I'm Black. You know, cats and monkeys and polar bears are melanated. Don't call me I'm Black. I'm gonna be Black. Nevertheless, we've always tried to save everybody, even when nobody tried to save us. But you only want to listen after your choices blow up in your face. You don't want to hear us when we tell you not to do something stupid. Because that's what it was. You did something stupid. It was a stupid decision. You did it. It was stupid. And now you only want us after the consequences arrive. Now you're getting shot in the street. No more. Not going to happen. You don't get to get us to jump in front of the lesson that you need to learn. So yes, we're going to stay. We're going to say it again. We're going to be petty about what's going on if it's necessary. And we told you so. We can be a petty people. We told you so. We've been petty since we was on the slave boats. We petty. We was petty on the slave plantations. We came up with quilts and songs. We would talk about the master and the slave. We would come up with songs, old Negro spirituals. If you really listen to them spirituals, they are talking stuff about the white people. We're petty like that. Sometimes we give our children names just so the white teacher can't pronounce it in the class. Right? We petty. Just because you said so, we petty. So that said, we're going to keep saying it until you stop pretending this is a fluke. Because the truth is, as soon as the pressure eases up off, you're going to go right back to what you were doing before. You're going to convince yourself this was just an exception. It was just a terrible misunderstanding. It was a one-off. But history says otherwise. And the only time this country ever changes is when enough white people taste that Negro treatment. The only thing that has ever moved the needle, not morality, not empathy, not proximity. You understand? It only happens when white folk begin to suffer. That's when change happens. And until that happens, we're resting. We're going to be on vacation and we're going to be loud. We are not putting our bodies between you and the lesson you insisted on learning the hard way. Now, you wanted us to comply. Now you need to comply with the reality that you created. This is Uncle D. I love y'all. And as I always say, I'm out.
In the Spurling podcast, hit the like button, subscribe.